Revenue share fury. No end in sight as senators prepare for an 8th sitting of the third basis of revenue sharing on Tuesday without a consensus. BUKUSU circumcision nod. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe clears the way for BUKUSU circumcisers to carry on with the biannual initiation ceremonies but under strict adherence of COVID-19 protocols. Plus, COVID-19 education gaps. Tonight, we bring you the two worlds of education in Kajiado County. Pupils from pastoralist communities are torn between their books and their animals. And tourist sites are safe. CS Najib Balala urges tourists to visit Kenya, assuring all tourism sites are free of COVID-19. A very warm welcome. My name is tonight is Faith Shepile. Now, Senate leadership insists that senators must have a solution for the nation come Tuesday next week after mediation talks collapsed after one divide of senators failed to present names of their representatives for mediation. Now, this comes as senators opposed to the third generation formula on revenue sharing say that they have a solution for the formula to be used to share 316.5 billion shillings to the 47 counties. We'll be having that story later for you. In the meanwhile, let's see what we have for you. And remember also, you can talk to us, give us your feedback on Twitter TV47KE or Facebook TV47 Kenya. Now, a fuel truck driver was burned to death in Busia when he rammed onto another truck, sparking a huge fire. 4 other truck drivers suffered minor injuries and their lorries got burnt.
According to truck drivers who witnessed the accident, the deceased was trying to overtake his colleague before he rammed onto another truck. The impact caused a huge fire that consumed 4 trucks.
Zilikuwa zinafuatana hivi mbili. Akaona gari, kulikuwa na gari nyingine mbele yake, ka slow down. Slow down na akaona kama ataigonga nyuma. Kanyaga brake, tangi kafanya hivi. Kaenda left, kurudisha akaenda left, akaona tatugonga tukiwa kwa laini, kuhepa ikalala chini. Kuja kama imenigonga nyuma. Kunigonga nyuma, mimi nikasukuma nikashikanishwa na ile gari nilikuwa mbele. Mimi nikatoka haraka nikarukia ile dirisha nikawachana gari, moto ilikuwa ishalipuka.
Hii gari ilikuwa inaovala, wakati ilifika hapo ikaenda kwa slope hivi. Kwa slope na ikaanguka outside. Driver akachomeka, ameungua na amefariki.
Truck drivers blame the accident on police officers who they say were taking a bribe to allow truck drivers cut the queue.
Hii mambo ya kuokota alfu. Kupitisha magari wanachukua alfu, zinapita gari zingine. Alafu wanaambia zikimbie zifuate na nani. Itawezekana kweli?
Gari yenye ilianguka hii ilikuwa kwa foleni, ilikuwa imesimama. Na mapolisi wenyewe ndio walikuja ya kwamba kutoa hiyo gari ati wanatangulisha kupeleka mbele. Na ilikuwa spidi ya mwaka kwa sababu hii gari ilikuwa inaenda mwendo ya zaidi. Na sasa kama gari ilikuwa imesimama, mbona hawa tena wanakuja kusongesha gari na ni masaa ni mbaya.
Teso North Member of Parliament Oku Kaunya called on the government to expand the Malaba-Kandui Highway in order to decongest the stretch leading to the Malaba border. MP Kaunya also want the government to open up the trailers park at the Malaba border.
Kuna umuhimu serikali kuweka dual carriageway hapa na pia kujengwe trailer park hapa Malaba ambapo kuna shamba kubwa ekari karibu 25 ya KPA, Kenya Ports Authority. Tungependa trailer park ijengwe pale, ndio trailer hizi hata kama barabara ikiwa ndogo hivi ziweze kupelekwa kule jioni wakati wakingojea kufanyiwa clearance.
Busia County Commissioner Joseph Kanyiri confirmed the incident. Wanji Sostin, TV47, County of Busia.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has listed the government's decision to resume international flights into the country as part of a plan to revive the tourism sector. The president has also insisted that Kenya's tourist sites are safe, open and ready for visitors, urging Kenyans to take part in reviving tourism by visiting various tourist attractions. This as the famous Masai Mara wild-beast migration takes place at the Mara, attracting thousands of Kenyans. David Mudoka tells us more.
Despite the delay in wildebeest migration from the Serengeti National Park in Tanzania into Kenya's Masai Mara Game Reserve, the world's famous wildlife migration is finally here. And despite earlier fears that the iconic migration will attract few tourists due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it is full house at the Mara. This rekindling hope that tourism in the country could soon bounce back after enduring a month-long crisis caused by the coronavirus pandemic. According to Tourism Cabinet Secretary JUBILEE, the annual migration comes at a time when the country is yearning to revive its tourism sector. Balala adds that a record 2 million wildebeests and zebras have already crossed the Mara River from Serengeti, terming the migration unique and fascinating.
2 million wildebeest and zebras who have crossed from Serengeti to Masai Mara. Yesterday we saw almost 10,000 wildebeest crossing the Mara River. Very exciting.
This, as President Uhuru Kenyatta says, the government is keen on revitalizing tourism in the country, listing the resumption of international flights on August 1st as a step towards the right direction.
You can visit the Masai Mara. You can enjoy our God-given beauty, and at the same time, you can be safe from COVID-19.
The president has further encouraged local and foreign travelers to take advantage of the prevailing low rates to visit the country's famous tourist sites.
Let us be able to continue with our lives. Let us be able, we cannot just lock ourselves down. COVID is with us. We are not going to run away from that.
He has, however, warned Kenyans against reckless abandon as the country grapples with increasing COVID-19 infections.
But it is up to every single Kenyan to see how they can continue with their livelihoods, how they can continue to partake and to travel, while at the same time keeping themselves and by extension others safe.
The president has also insisted that the country's tourist sites are safe for tourists, a statement that was reiterated by Narok Governor Samuel Tunai.
We want to tell you Mara is safe. As the Honorable Minister has said, we have ensured as county government that before any hotel or facility is reopened, all the staff are tested to be COVID-free.
Kenyatta was speaking during a virtual meeting with Governor Tunai, CS Balala, and world marathon record holder Eliud Kipchoge. David Muthoka, TV47.
Now going back to our top story, Senate leadership insists that senators must have a solution for the nation come Tuesday next week after mediation talks collapsed after one divide of senators failed to present names of their representatives for mediation. Now this comes as senators opposed to the third generation formula on revenue sharing say that they have a solution for the formula to be used to share 316.5 billion shillings to the 47 counties, as Elizabeth Mutuku reports.
As the Senate is expected to have a special sitting on Tuesday next week to deliberate the revenue sharing formula law, Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka and Majority Leader Samuel Pogisio now say the House will have to take a vote on all amendments, thus to pave a way for the committee report on disputed third generation formula.
A vote will have to be taken on amendments that are being brought so that we are able to discuss the report and move forward, because we cannot continue procrastinating this problem, because remember they have adjourned several times, and we can't just keep the country, in abeyance and the country working and well, because if they're not agreeing, then I don't see them agreeing at any time.
Cheat themselves that they have a monopoly of tricks. I think they should just come out and know that the only thing left is for us to meet together. You can do all the tricks in the book, but in the end, you have to come to this report.
Mediation talks collapsed after one divide of senators failed to present names of their representatives to constitute the mediation committee. Senate Majority Leader Samuel Pogisio says last week's adjournment was not in good faith as they thought it would provide consensus. Nonetheless, Pogisio says the House is still open for talks.
The other side doesn't seem to understand that. And then so what happens now is everybody goes with their formula, and then on that day we just deal with it. You want to buy time? Just buy time. But it will not settle well until we reach a place where we can talk to each other.
Speaker Lusaka and Pogisio fiercely defending the House on failure accusations, saying the issues of resources distribution is about interest of various counties, unlike other motions which just require a vote.
The Senate has not failed. You know, you're not talking about primary school kids in a classroom. You're talking about elected leaders, and elected leaders represent certain interests. So when senators are arguing and talking and debating, because of the interest.
So instead of bringing a formula, members have gone ahead to gain politically, to try and make it look like it's about putting themselves into political limelight. It's not the issue. Unless we solve the third generation formula, you can say all you want, you can jump around, you can put yourself in front of cameras and look like you're very brilliant. But you're not brilliant enough to bring us a formula.
This comes even as Wiper leader Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka calls for dialogue among senators to unlock the revenue sharing formula stalemate.
Really, leaders must be prepared, however difficult the issues. Leaders should be able to sit and discuss with each other. After all, they're given that direct mandate. Confront issues head on. Don't run away from a challenge.
Tuesday's special sitting will be the 8th attempt by the Senate to strike a consensus on now protracted dispute on the third basis on revenue share. A stalemate continues in the Senate over revenue sharing formula. Now it's evident that the matter is becoming political, with Senate having only few days to give Kenyans a solution. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV 47 Nairobi.
Now, police officers attending the burial of their colleague in Bungoma were caught up in a catch-22 situation. The officers opted to skip their burial rituals in order to stick to COVID-19 containment protocols, but the funeral ended up being a total violation of the pandemic guidelines. Mourners turned up in droves, making social distancing a mirage, Sustain Wanji reports.
At Kibabe village, Kandu constitution, Bungoma County, Peter Wanjala Osianjo, a police officer who died after a long illness, is being laid to rest. His colleagues are present to pay their last respects. But in keeping with the COVID-19 protocol, the burial of the police officer missed many rituals. His colleagues could not give him a gun salute.
Most of the things programmed imekuwa minimized for the time. So mimi ndasema ya kwamba releases zingine zote hata mkubwa atakuja kuelezea nyinyi kuanzia kwa ile tumerukaruka, msione kama ati ni madharau ama ni nini, because of time. Tafadhalini.
But even as the police avoided the burial rituals for their colleague in order to adhere to COVID-19 guidelines, the funeral was a violation of the very protocols from the beginning.
Tumejaribu sana wakati tuliingia hapa, tumejaribu sana. I know mkiangalia pande hii na members of the fourth estate, tafadhali msimulike pande hii. Usinichomee picha. Mulika hapa hii benchi ya wazazi mwenzetu na wazazi hapa pale. Mulika father hapa, hiyo nyingine just ignore. Because tunajua mlikuwa mnapenda pita. We have tried our level best. Mkiangalia hapo nyuma kweli iko social distance. Wengine hata wana mask. Serikali ilisema ya kwamba jukumu yote sahi, responsibility ya kujichunga imerudi kwa mikononi mwenu. Tafadhalini, sisi kama maafisa tunaangalia maneno mingi sana, and we cannot force you. You are an adult, you know what you are doing.
People turned up at the funeral in droves. The police could not turn them away. The cops were mourning a departed colleague.
Peter alikuwa rafiki yetu mzuri, tulishirikiana naye kwa mambo mengi sana. Tulikuwa naye wakati wote akiwa mgonjwa, tulikuja kumtembelea hapa all the time. Tulicommunicate kuona anaendelea aje, ndio tukaamua tukuje sasa kumwona hiyo wakati last Saturday ndio mwisho wa kadha. On Monday we were very much shocked kuambiwa there was no more.
They have, however, urged parents to be vigilant with their children during the COVID-19 pandemic period.
Msipolee watoto, mtawata watoto wanakuwa kora. Kazi yao ni kuja kutusumbua na makesi katika police station. But I like the way you brought up this officer.
Mimi nahimiza tu katika hii wakati tumechanganyikiwa na mambo mengi. Sisi wazazi tuachibike na tulinde huyo mtoto jinsi tulivyompokea kama baraka kutoka kwa Mungu.
Wanji Sustin, TV47, Bungoma.
Thank you for staying with us on our Saturday night news. Let's take a short breather. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Welcome back. Now, one person has died and 5 others injured along Nyeri Nanyuki Road after a Toyota Wish lost control and rammed into Thegu Ward MCA Richard Kamuhia office in Chaka, Kieni constituency. Now, according to eyewitnesses, the vehicle was heading to Nairobi from Aberio in Nanyuki and lost control after hitting speed bumps at a high speed. No one was injured in the MCA's office that is about 100 meters from the highway. The injured were taken to Nyeri Referral Hospital.
Kuna gari imeingia kwa ploti yangu. Sasa ndio nikakuta kuna gari imekuja hapa. Hii nyumba nimerentisha county government ya Nyeri, ndio ofisi ya MCA. Ulizia nikasikia imetoka pande ya juu, imekujia kwa hewa ikagonga ile kanyumba kwanza, then kutoka hapo ndio ikakuja ikagonga hii beam ikapasua vioo na nasikia kuna mtu mmoja ameaga.
Kulikuwa na ladies 4 na 2 men. Mmoja ndiye alikuwa anaendesha. Kuna mmoja hajaguzwa. Yeye alikuwa anaendesha ndio tulitoa last. But ladies walikuwa wameguzwa kidogo. Kuna mmoja ameviba kichwa, mmoja amepaswa, wawili hawakuwa wanaweza kutembea.
Quite unfortunate. Now, stigmatization and discrimination are some of the multiple barriers persons with disability face as they try to get employment. As a result, many end up in extreme poverty. For 30-year-old Florence Wanjiru, the story is no different despite having tailoring skills. The mother of one has not had any luck in securing a job, saying that her dwarfism genetic condition is the cause of all her misfortunes. After tamaking for years in search of a job, Florence Wanjiru had no alternative but to hire a stall to vend tomatoes at Ruiru Market. And with the outbreak of COVID-19, which threw the country into economic confusion, Florence Wanjiru says life took a new turn, compounding her situation even more.
Nimetafuta kazi kwa muda zaidi wa miaka 5. Nitafuta kazi manake nilitoka shule 2008. Ndio nilitoka shule nikakuja Nairobi nikaanza kuhangaika na maisha bado nikapata kazi yenye nilipata kwa msimu, alafu then kazi kaisha. Sasa nikaanza kuhangaika na biashara hapa na pale, na bado baka saa hii bado naona tu bado mambo imezindi unga bado manake baka saa hii.
26-year-old Anne Wanjiru from Juja sub-county is also confounded with the same situation. Anne has bakery and tailoring skills, and for years she's searched for employment in vain. Anne's mother is distressed that her daughter's intellectual disability is her biggest hindrance in securing a job.
One thing, kama sasa shida huyu msichana wangu hawezi kaenda kujiexpress vizuri. Yeye anajua anataka kazi, lakini haweza akajitetea zaidi.
And in Kiatundu slums, Thika, Michael Kihuni, who suffers from short-sightedness, stays at home after failing to secure a job in many private companies he has visited. This is despite his distinguished skills in pastry and bakery. What's more, Kihuni says his wife left him, saying she could no longer withstand the economic hardships.
Kazi imekuwa ndio changamoto kubwa sababu nimejaribu kutafuta lakini nikapata shida kwa sababu watu wanakuangalia macho.
Lucy Masharia, the director of Embrace Inclusion, a community-based organization in Kiandutu, notes that the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted persons with disabilities both directly and indirectly.
We are currently, as Embrace Inclusion, creating awareness to the private sector so that they get to understand we have persons with disabilities with skills but not yet employed. We still have the act for persons with disabilities that we are saying in each and every department or in each and every employable area, we need to see 5% representation of persons with disabilities.
A report from Embrace Inclusion shows that even under normal circumstances, persons with disabilities are less likely to access employment. As Kenya readies to join the world in marking the International Day of World's Indigenous People 2020 tomorrow, the Ogiek community in Kenya has nothing to celebrate on this day. The Ogiek ethnic group are a minority community who number about 10,000 people. A few are found within the Mau Forest complex at Block 5, and here many are anguishing in poverty since they were flushed out of the Mau Forest by the Kenyan government. The Ogiek had considered Mau Forest home for generations.
Inside the Singalo forest bordering the Nandi and Western Gishu counties, we meet a few of the Ogieks who have come together at their famous shrine to once again offer prayers with the hope of getting resettled back into their indigenous home in the Mau forest. The Mau, currently under reforestation, has been their home over the years.
Hii wanyama ilikuwa tunatumia mara ngapi? Kuvaa ngozi yake kama nguo na ukula nyama yake. Matawa yetu sebana tungwa kusindano. Tulikuwa natumia miti na chimba na chamusha tunakula.
They remember with nostalgia the days of their grandparents, how dense and rich the forest canopy was, providing them with honey and enough food. Today only a few indigenous trees can be spotted, very few trees to support honey production and their favorite animals.
Wakati tulitolewa tukawekwa katika shida hizi ambao tumepitia mingi, hii tamaduni kapotea. Sasa wengi hawashiki ni nini ilikuwa inafanywa zamani.
The forest has lost its glory and with it the rich Ogiek culture. The Ogiek community has now been forced to abandon most of their rich traditions and cultures.
Hakuna furaha kwa sababu baadhi ya wenzetu wametapaka kila sehemu kwa majani chai, kwa mabarabara.
A few of the remaining elderly people demonstrate to the young the skill of harvesting honey, a staple meal for the Ogiek and very vital for dowry payments. A few, however, have held on the quickly diminishing traditions, with their cultural clothes made of two primates being only visible mark of their rich culture. In the year 2017, the Ogiek community at the East African Court of Justice in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, won a protracted battle with the Kenyan government to have them reinstated back into their indigenous home, the Mau forest.
Sisi tunasherehekea kuwin kesi tarehe 26 mwezi wa 5 2017.
3 years later, the ruling has not been honored.
It was prudent kwa serikali kabla hajatoa mtu wote katika msitu penye wamesoea, wao wametengenezwa mahali pa kwenda.
As the world celebrates the indigenous people tomorrow, the Ogiek have made sacred prayers at the shrine. They call upon President Uhuru Kenyatta and Environment Cabinet Secretary Keriako Tobiko to address their plight. Calvin Chitwa, TV47, Nandi County.
Now, recent appointments in several government agencies by President Uhuru Kenyatta have triggered divisions in the Rift Valley region, with Cherangani Member of Parliament Joshua Kutuni, who is a fierce critic of Deputy President William Ruto, now turning guns on KANU party leader Gideon Moi. Kutuni is accusing Moi of influencing the sacking of key officials from the Kalenjin community. Our Trans Nzoia-based reporter Boniface Baraza reports.
Cherangani MP Joshua Kutuni has thrown a salvo at Baringo Senator and KANU Chairman Gideon Moi, accusing him of hypocrisy. Kutuni says Moi does not have the interest of the Kalenjin community at heart, but only interested in rewarding his loyalists.
Na mimi nataka kumweleza Gideon Moi, juzi amepewa nafasi kidogo na rais ya kuchagua watu. Kila ambacho nimeona ni ukoo yake. Watu wote watatu ni ukoo moja tu na jamii yake. Kwa hivyo sisi hatuwezi kuja kukushangilia wewe wakati unasaidia jamii yako iweze kupata mnofu. Na wakina yae ambao wamekuwa katika safari hii wanapata mifupa. Hatuwezi kubali. Hapo ndio ilikuwa njia panda, ilitufikisha njia panda kati ya sisi na Ruto.
Kutuni decried what it terms as blatant victimization of every Kalenjin who is perceived to be supporting Deputy President Dr. William Ruto.
Tunataka kumweleza Gideon, Huwezi kuchukua hiyo nafasi kuadhibu wale watu ambao, ama kupatia wasiwasi na kupatia vitisho wale maafisa wa serikali ambao labda waliandikwa na Ruto ama walionekana walikuwa karibu na Ruto. Hiyo sisi hatuwezi kubali. Na kama itakuwa ni mimi na Gideon kupeana talaka na ndoa kuvunjika kwa kutetea wananchi na maafisa walioko serikalini na jamii kwa ujumla kwa haki yao, mimi niko tayari kupeana talaka. Si talaka ya kwanza hii. Siasa ni interest. Mimi utaniulinda, mimi nikulinde. Usiponilinda mimi sitakulinda.
In recent government appointments, KANU Secretary General Nick Salat was picked to head the board of directors at Agricultural Development Corporation, replacing former Baringo Governor Benjamin Cheboy. Kutuni, however, insisted that differing with Gideon Moi should not be perceived to imply he has changed his latest political standing within Jubilee Party.
Mimi nataka kuzisitiza, mimi siondoki Jubilee. Nimebaki Jubilee, nimekuwa mwana wa Jubilee. Mahala Uhuru atapokwenda mimi ndio nitakwenda pale. Na tutazungumza. Kwa hivyo mtu asifikirie kwamba ati mimi nina nia ya kukwepa ama kuondoka. Na ninapokosoa Gideon Moi isisemekane kwamba kama nimekwenda upande huu. Mimi ni mwana wa ODM na Jubilee ambayo imetengeneza handshake. Angalia. Mimi ni kiungo cha kati ndani ya hii mechi inayochezwa. Kazi yangu ni kuchukua mpira kutoka nyuma, kuweka defense, Murkomen asileta hasara na mimi niende juu.
This comes weeks after KANU made a political pact with Jubilee Party, which saw West Pokot Senator Samuel Pogisio of KANU handed the Senate majority leadership, a post initially held by Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen of Jubilee and an ardent support of DP Ruto. Boniface Barasa, TV47, Cherangani Constituency, Trans Nzoia County.
Thank you for that report, Boniface Barasa. Thank you for staying with us here on TV47 Saturday Night News. Let's take another short break, but we'll be back with more in just a moment. welcome back. The education sector has been greatly affected ever since the closure of schools due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Circumstances have left school-going children at the mercy of people around them to enable them carry on with their education while still at home. Our reporter Nanok Loren gives us a clear picture of how the state of education in Kajiado County is, as majority of the school-going children in the area are from pastoralist families.
Our journey takes off early in the morning, heading towards Kajiado County, which is approximately 108 kilometers from Nairobi County. This journey aims at understanding the situation of education in this county, a county mainly inhabited by the Maasai community, who majorly practice pastoralism, which has been embraced by all age groups, both the young and the old. The first case is of Inkinyie Primary School. Here, we are welcomed by the deserted environment with long grass, desks and chairs that have been abandoned for months now since the closure of the school in March due to COVID-19. We meet up with the school's deputy head teacher, Mr. Peter Namasaka, a teacher who, since schools were closed, has not given up on his pupils. Since then, he has worked with them and advanced their education by providing recorded online lessons via YouTube and WhatsApp.
I looked at the option of getting phones and giving lessons through maybe WhatsApp, Facebook, and what have you. Again, I realized that it was a big challenge because out of I'm having 16 candidates, and out of the 16 candidates, only 2 parents had smartphones. So I saw it also not working out. So what happened is that I approached a certain NGO just around by the name Ilaramatak, and I expressed the need of them coming in and assisting us.
Although he encountered challenges while beginning this initiative, Ilaramatak, an NGO chaired by Agnes Leina, came to the rescue of 16 girls who are Class 8 candidates and donated learning materials to both them and their teacher in order to prepare them as they await their KCPE exams come next year.
Mr. Namasaka and other teachers had a session with the kids to show them what to download and what not to download, because these phones can be good, it can also be very misleading. Kids will run to things like pornography, they will rush to things like Facebook, but what we have done is tumenyonga Facebook, tumenyonga sites zile tunajua kwamba wanaweza kimbilia, and then they have just to download materials from class for classwork. Then we gave him a handset, another phone. We gave him a computer. Then we gave him again a camera. All those are the things that he needed to equip himself in order to go online.
Despite the young girls having to walk for long distances from home to school in order for them to download their online lessons, they have shown resilience and valued this rare opportunity. As Dorcas, together with her friend, concentrate as they take up their online lessons, they demonstrate to me how they get to download their lessons and access them later on when they return home.
Naenda kwa YouTube, alafu naandika jina ya teacher, alafu lessons inakuja kama ni imesha downloadiwa. Unakuja kudownload shule, alafu naenda watch nyumbani. Alafu naandika. Alafu kama ni exam unafanya, unamtumia teacher. Teacher na mark, alafu anakurudishia.
Following the escalating cases of both teenage pregnancies and marriages, Agnes Leina, the founder of Ilaramata Community Concern Organization, has been able to conduct mentorship classes in order to empower the girls against such social ills. And as of now, the school has not had a single case of either instance. In the same spirit, Agnes conducts rescue mission to girls who are to be married off to old men without their consent. She then takes them to rescue centers.
I am proud to report that this school does not have even one single case of pregnancy. All our girls are intact. The reason being, we've been in touch with them from the day COVID-19 started, because I am guarding on that. because that's the time the whole country went crazy.
The parents of these girls have expressed joy towards the organization for supporting and motivating their girls and ensuring that they do not go astray.
Nazidi kumuhimiza mwalimu apate moyo huo vile alijitoa kwa wakati huu mgumu. Hakuenda kufurahia kuketi pale watoto wetu wakiumia, lakini amejitoa akakubali kuwasomesha. Ingawaje ni wakati ambao ni mgumu, lakini tunamuhimiza azidi tu kuwaendeleza watoto wetu kuwasomesha.
Afterwards, our journey heads over to Inkinye village, where I meet up with Titei Lekoko together with her family, including Gabriel and his brother Enoch.
Asante. Asante. Nasalimiana aje? Soba.
Gabriel's case is different from that of the girls from Inkinye Primary School because the only way of learning Gabriel, a class 7 pupil, uses is his written notes and past papers. He juggles the roles of herding cattle and reading from morning to evening.
Ilikuwa nzuri tukiwa shuleni zaidi. Tasoma tu peke yangu home. Kuna mtu ndamuuliza swali. Tasoma tu hizi notes zangu. Kama nataka kuuliza swali, sipati tu nafasi ya kuuliza swali. Juu hata sina simu.
The situation is dire for his brother Enoch, a class 8 candidate. This is because Enoch put a pause on his studies when schools were closed and picked up with the cattle herding role, a situation that has deprived him of a chance to advance his education.
Tulikuwa tunaenda tuition and then hiyo tuition ikadinda tena nilikuwa natumia simu na sina hiyo uwezo ya kupata simu ya kuingia nayo kutumia watu pata online. So hapo ndio nilifeli. So hii fanya hao wenye wako mbele yangu hao wanaenda mbele na mimi niko nyuma.
This situation saddens Enoch's mother Titei Lekoko, as her sons have lagged behind in their education instead of moving forward like their peers.
I
really feel bad that my sons are at home and are not carrying on with their education. They are really lagging behind. It will be my joy if anyone will volunteer to help them, because I love seeing them read, as I was not privileged to go to school.
Kajiado Education CEC Jeremiah Olencharo says as a number of pupils are privileged to carry on with their education, the county is partnering with different stakeholders to ensure that those that are lagging behind are enabled to catch up like the rest. And on matters early pregnancies and marriages, he says immediate action is being taken against the perpetrators who rob the young girls of their rights to be children.
We are doing the much we can through involvement of other stakeholders so that we can address those challenges. To some extent we have, but we have not been able to cover everybody. There are people already who are before our law courts in Kajiado because of that. What we do is that the moment you try to marry off a girl, one, the father of that girl is arrested. The so-called husband is also arrested, because most of these so-called husbands are old people age 50 and above. I don't know why they have a lot of appetite for young girls, and we are trying to stop that. And that is why we are arresting them. So we are also working closely with the chiefs, because they are the ones on the grassroots, to make sure that we identify such cases and prosecute people who are doing that.
The education crisis currently in the country has left many school-going children with two options: either advancing their education like girls from Inkinye Primary School, or slowly going down the drain like Gabriel. Reporting for TV47 from Kajiado County, my name is Nanok Lauren.
Thank you, Nana, for that report. Now, on to sports news. Kenyan Premier League side Gor Mahia elected its officials on Saturday. Long-serving chairman Ambrose Rashia remaining at the helm of the club as Sam Ochola, Dolphina Othiambo and Francis Wasuna assuming the positions of Secretary General, Treasurer and Vice Chair respectively. Outgoing Secretary Sally Bolo, who was vying against the incumbent Francis Wasuna for position of the Vice Chairman, was